Wernicke's commands in the brain cause self-sabotage. Plus, how to remove them with kinesiology. This correction was first presented in the USA at the annual conference of the USA Touch for Health Kinesiology Association in Florida July 2000 by Stephanie Relf. The mind and not the brain. The mind is an energy field. The brain is a physical switchboard between the mind and the body. Research has shown that words are stored in a specific area on the left side of the brain. What is not so well known is that there is an equivalent area in the right half of the brain which is also involved with language. Both these areas are called the Wernicke's area. According to Professor Julian Jaynes, lecturer in psychology at Princeton University, up until around 3,000 years ago, mankind was basically not conscious as he is today. He did not think in terms of concepts, and he was not introspective, that is, he did not turn inwards and think about himself. Instead, he operated with what is called a bicameral mind. The bicameral mind was man's mind before he developed self-consciousness. Early man did not make any decisions on his own. The concept of self, of being independent and self-reliant, did not exist. Whenever a decision had to be made, early man looked for a sign from an outside authority, such as a king or a god, to tell him what to do. For example, if he went along a road which divided into two roads, he might throw some stones into the air to see which way they fell, to tell him which road to take. Other signs that early man used to determine what action he should take when he was faced with a decision were often voices which he heard in his head and which brought immediate obedience. Experiments have shown that if the Wernicke's area in the left half of the brain is electrically stimulated during speech, it will interfere with the ability to talk properly, almost halting speech. The right Wernicke's area shown in red. The same type of stimulation to the Wernicke's area in the right brain, however, causes a person to hear voices or commands. These are usually of an authoritarian or dictatorial nature, and can be identified as the voice of one who was feared, admired or looked up to by the person being stimulated. We call these commands Wernicke's commands, because they are commands stored in the Wernicke's area of the brain. The two Wernicke's areas are connected to each other by a thin bridge of tissue. This is where the term bicameral mind comes from. It seems that the voices of the gods were in fact internal dialogue coming from the right half of the brain. If mankind was to become civilized, this simple mind had to greatly improve and consciousness had to develop. However, the bicameral tendency is still present today. It is the bicameral mind, the right side of the Wernicke's area, which we hear when we hear those little words of self-invalidation and sabotage. The authorities or the authority figure acting influence technician who might have put commands into this mind are no longer gods, they are anyone that we might have looked up to at some time. These can include parents, teachers, peers, politicians, and doctors. Have you ever been told to grow up, shut up, eat up, forget that or give up? Have you ever been told you're mad, you're bad, you're stupid or you'll never make it? If somebody you thought was powerful said you're too fat, you'll never change, you'll forget, you're a slow learner, eat all your food, you're not good enough, strong enough, pretty enough, clever enough, you'll go to hell, etc. Then they may have made an entry in your right Wernicke's area, an implanted command, which is still influencing you to this day. When people do any work or therapy to get rid of negative beliefs, the beliefs they try to get rid of things are usually worded as I'm not good enough or I'm too fat. But find the truth, and it will set you free. These beliefs are not filed in the brain, which is like a super powerful computer, under an eye point of view. The commands are entered as said by another person, as if the person is right there, talking to you. For example, the belief may be I'm no good, but the original command, which is stored in the brain, was you're no good. Normal kinesiology has a correction called a goal balance which is designed to get rid of negative beliefs. However, it often does not seem to work. However, in 1996 Australian kinesiologist David Bridgman made an astounding discovery. He realized how to remove negative beliefs from the brain. The key to removing these beliefs is that they are stored in the brain as though another person said them. For example, you won't remember. The brain then tries to make sense of a command and translates it. For example, as I won't remember. This command then interferes with the person. To get rid of the command you must find the exact wording of the command, which in this case is you won't remember. This specific kinesiology procedure enables a person to remove the sabotaging commands from the brain. Instant improvement is generally noted in the person who has done this. These commands can be put in our brain either unintentionally, as by our parents, or intentionally, as by the mind controllers, influenced technicians. These commands are hidden in the brain a bit like the way the drop-down menus are hidden on the computer screen. Sometimes you can't see the menus, but they are still there. When you do the correct kinesiology procedure, the sabotaging commands drop down and then you can delete them. But they do not all appear at once. It can take a number of sessions to get rid of them. This is a simple, revolutionary and very powerful procedure. The key to doing these corrections successfully is to get the exact wording. Generally, throughout these sessions it would take up to 7 attempts each time to get the precise wording. Mostly the correct wording would be found after 2 or 3 attempts. Throughout these sessions, I did not record our incorrect attempts to find the commands. Only the successful attempts were recorded. This information on the Wernicks Correction has now been published as a chapter in a brilliant new book, The Universal Seduction, written by many authors who go under the collective name Angelica Tapestra. How to do the kinesiology Wernicks Correction. To have this correction done to you, take this article to a kinesiologist. You may be able to find information on local kinesiologists at your local health food store, or at www.google.com. To learn how to do this correction to others, you need a basic knowledge of kinesiology. It is highly recommended that you at least attend a Touch for Health 1 weekend. How to test for Wernicks commands. 1. As for a normal kinesiology session, first do the pre-tests. Test both anterior deltoid and supraspinatus muscles. Then test for dehydration, switching and blocking. Once everything is in order, proceed to step 2. 2. Find an area in life that the client is still having trouble with. 3. This step is optional but highly recommended. I like to test how many commands there are for me to look for, at this particular time. I say indicate a change for the number of Wernicks commands related to. Insert the problem here, which are available to be removed. Then count as you test for each count, 0, 1, 2, 3. This helps you know when you are finished, and when you still have something to look for. Note that I say available to be removed. There may be more commands present than you will find at this time, but like all kinesiology corrections, they are in layers like the layers of an onion. The other commands may not show up until a later time. 4. Work out a phrase that could create difficulty in this area, as it is said by another. For example, the sentence would be "You are not good enough," not "I am not good enough." 5. Have the client say the phrase out loud, while A. You test one anterior deltoid and B. The client touches the right side of the Wernicks area of the brain, which is about 3 fingers just above and just behind the ear. Have them use a number of fingers to be sure that they have touched the area. If you are not sure where this area is, do what I do all the time when I cannot remember where I point it on the body. Use muscle testing to ask the body where you should touch. If the arm goes weak when they say this sentence, while they touch the right Wernicks area, you have the correct wording. If the arm stays strong, you have not got the correct wording. 6. Once you have found the phrase which causes the arm to test weak, ask the client who said that to them. When they name the correct person, the arm will go weak again when you test. 7. Ask the client to turn their eyes up and to the right, while they continue to touch the right Wernicks area of the brain. Have them say the phrase out loud again. It should now test strong. If it tests strong now, you have the correct wording. If it tests weak, there is likely a part of the person's mind that doesn't want to face what happened to the person. Try doing emotional stress release, that is, put a hand on their forehead, covering both sides of their forehead, for a few minutes or more. How to correct for Wernicks commands. Danger. Be careful not to damage the eyes. The touching must be as gentle and light as possible. Trim all nails short. During the breathing, do not go too fast. Allow the client to breathe at their own speed so as not to cause hyperventilation. While doing all corrections, have the client think of the phrase. A. Do the test for Wernicks commands as outlined above. Then, 1. Ask the client to look up to the right while they breathe in and think of the phrase. At the same time, you gently touch the left side of their lower eyelids and lightly push in the direction they are looking during the breathing in cycle, then release. This is to lightly stretch the fascia, envelope, of the eye muscles. You can use fingers, but your thumb is better to use. Allow them to breathe out. 2. Ask the client to look up to the left while they breathe in. At the same time, you gently touch the right side of their lower eyelids and lightly push in the direction they are looking during the breathing in cycle, then release. Allow them to breathe out. 3. Ask the client to look up to the right while they breathe in. At the same time you gently touch the left side of their lower eyelids and lightly push in the direction they are looking during the breathing in cycle, then release. Allow them to breathe out. 4. Ask the client to look down to the left while they breathe in. At the same time you gently touch the right side of their upper eyelids and lightly push in the direction they are looking during the breathing in cycle, then release. Allow them to breathe out. 5. Ask the client to look up to the left while they breathe in. At the same time you gently touch the right side of their lower eyelids and lightly push in the direction they are looking during the breathing in cycle, then release. Allow them to breathe out. 6. Ask the client to look down to the right while they breathe in. At the same time you gently touch the left side of their upper eyelids and lightly push in the direction they are looking during the breathing in cycle, then release. Allow them to breathe out. B. Retest with the person repeating the phrase and eyes to the front, while they touch the right Wernicke's area of the brain. The muscle should now test strong, indicating that the command has been removed. C. Say thank you. That is, acknowledge the client. D. Say what's the next one? This encourages the command to come to the mind of the client, so that you can find the next phrase to work on. Repeat the test and the correction as above. Helpful hints. Many clients when asked for commands that sabotage them will say phrases from an I point of view. This isn't it. Whatever they say starting with I, get them to repeat starting with you. When they name phrases or people which are not the ones you are looking for, don't invalidate their answer. Merely ask what else? Or who else? The phrase is usually associated with whatever the client is talking about. For example, if they say I can't think of anything, ask them what someone may have said to stop them thinking. It may be that someone said you're stupid. If they start talking about an incident from their past, the phrase was probably said during that incident. If they have a problem with remembering who said the phrase to them, I also ask them who may have thought this at them. I have found that sometimes people pick up a thought from a person if they just think it. After all, sometimes it's pretty clear what someone is thinking, they don't really need to say it out loud. The phrase can sometimes be just a one-word insult, such as fatty. The key is to get the exact wording. You may need to add words such as very. For example, it may not be you're hopeless. It may be you're very hopeless or you're bloody hopeless. If the phrase was said in a language other than English, get them to say the sentence in the language in which it was said, after translating to you what they are saying. Eye positions. The classical eye positions relate to the following for those interested in some of the neurology of the correction: constructed data, upright, visual construction, downright, kinesthetic, feelings, construction, recalled data, up left, visual recall, down left, auditory recall. So a Wernicks eye correction: upright, up left, down left, up left, down right, works out as upright. Construct a picture of the event, person or command, up left, compare it with a recalled picture, make a copy to vanish, upright, reconstruct modified picture and copy the copy to vanish, down left, auditory self-talk, recall the sound bite, up left, insert sound bite into recalled picture, down right, construct a new feeling and go free. By the way, mid left is auditory recall, and mid right is auditory construction. So if you hold a concept or picture that contains stress, a weak muscle will strengthen in the relevant eye position, telling you which perception is blocked or being interfered with. Conversely, a strong muscle will fail in the eye position that is blocked or the person cannot confront. Most important of all, have fun with this. Remember, you will only be given the clients that you are able to help. Note, in the following pictures I am using my index finger to move the eye fascia, but it is better and easier to use your thumbs. Eyes up to the right, eyes up to the left, eyes down to the left, eyes down right. Copyright, Stephanie Relf, 2002 to 2010.